Chosen ones, you may not realize it, but your presence holds a power that reshapes lives. Those who have been close to you often take for granted the light you carry, the unique energy and purpose God has instilled within you. Losing you isn't just a mistake, it's a turning point, both for you and for them. The value of a chosen one isn't always visible in the moment. You may have found yourself in situations where your kindness, strength, or wisdom was overlooked. People around you grew comfortable with your presence, assuming your light would always be available to them. But what they fail to see is that your light comes with divine purpose. And when they lose access to that light, the void left behind reveals just how much you were holding together. God often uses moments of separation to teach lessons, not just to those who lose you, but also to you. Losing a chosen one is more than just the end of a connection. It's the beginning of a shift. This shift is part of a divine plan, one that moves you closer to your purpose and leaves them to face the consequences of their actions. As we dive into this journey, you'll discover the deeper truths behind what happens when someone loses a chosen one. You'll see how their biggest mistake becomes your greatest breakthrough, and how God's hand works through even the most painful separations. Some people never realize the value of what they have until it's gone. This truth is especially evident when it comes to chosen ones. Your presence often brings peace, stability, and growth to those around you. Yet, instead of appreciating this, some take your light for granted, assuming it's an endless resource they can draw from without consequence. What makes this dynamic so unique is the spiritual energy you carry. Chosen ones are often placed in environments that need transformation. Whether it's a family, workplace, or relationship, your presence is meant to be a catalyst for change. But when the people around you grow comfortable, they stop seeing you as a gift and start treating you as a convenience. Taking your light for granted usually starts subtly. Perhaps they overlook your advice, dismiss your boundaries, or fail to acknowledge the sacrifices you've made. Over time, this lack of appreciation builds, creating an imbalance in the relationship. You may start to feel drained, as if your energy is being poured into a space that refuses to grow. What they don't realize is that your light isn't something they can control or exploit. It's a reflection of your divine connection, a gift from God that isn't meant to be squandered. When people fail to honor this, they set themselves up for a hard lesson. Losing you becomes the wake-up call they didn't see coming. But how does this lesson unfold? What happens when their world starts to unravel without the light they took for granted? When someone loses a chosen one, the break often serves as a magnifying glass, exposing their true intentions. While your presence may have masked underlying issues, your absence forces these hidden motives to surface. For many, losing you is not just a loss, it's a mirror that reveals who they truly are and what they were trying to gain from your light. Chosen ones are often placed in people's lives to bring healing, growth, and divine perspective. Yet, not everyone is ready or willing to accept this role. Some people see your light as something to control or manipulate, using your presence to fill their own voids or achieve selfish ambitions. While they may have succeeded in masking their true nature while you were around, the separation removes that veil, leaving them face to face with their own intentions. The break can be painful for you too. You may have invested deeply in the relationship, believing that your efforts were building something meaningful. However, God allows breaks like this to occur because He sees what you cannot. The Bible reminds us in Matthew 7:16, "By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles?" When the break happens, the fruit of their intentions becomes undeniable, revealing whether they were truly for you or only for what you provided. One of the most telling signs of exposed intentions is how they react after the break. Instead of taking accountability or seeking to mend the relationship, many will show their true colors by lashing out, blaming you, or trying to replace what they lost. This response isn't about you. It's a reflection of their inability to handle the void your absence has created. They may attempt to undermine you, spreading negativity in an effort to cope with their loss. But in doing so, they only confirm the very reasons why they were unworthy of your presence. For you, this break serves as a form of liberation. It frees you from the weight of trying to sustain relationships built on false foundations. It also opens the door for God to guide you toward connections that honor your light and purpose. Yet the question remains, how do you navigate the emotions that come with seeing their true intentions revealed? Every time someone loses a chosen one, there is a divine shift that takes place. This shift isn't random or coincidental. It's part of Yeshua's greater plan for your life and theirs. While the separation may feel painful in the moment, it's a necessary step in aligning you with God's purpose and exposing the ways He is working behind the scenes. Yeshua often used moments of loss and separation to initiate transformation. In the Gospels, we see this pattern repeatedly. One of the most powerful examples is when He spoke to His disciples about His departure, saying, "It is for your good that I am going away. Unless I go away, the Advocate will not come to you." John 16:7. His words reflect a profound truth. Sometimes, the removal of one thing creates space for something far greater to unfold. For chosen ones, this shift is both personal and spiritual. On a personal level, it allows you to step away from environments that no longer serve your growth. Whether it's a toxic relationship, a draining friendship, or an unfulfilling workplace, the break creates room for God to redirect you toward opportunities that align with your calling. You may not see it immediately, but over time, the doors that open will make it clear that Yeshua was guiding you all along. On a spiritual level, the shift is about more than just you. When someone loses a chosen one, they are forced to confront the void left behind. This confrontation often triggers a journey of self-reflection and, in some cases, repentance. They may begin to realize the depth of what they lost and seek to reconcile with God or make changes in their own lives. While this isn't always guaranteed, the potential for transformation is one of the reasons why Yeshua allows these separations to happen. At the same time, Yeshua uses these moments to strengthen you. Losing people who didn't value your light is a reminder that your worth isn't tied to others' perceptions or approval. Your value comes from God, who sees you as His masterpiece, created with a purpose far greater than what the world can comprehend. As you step into this new season, you'll find that Yeshua's plan is not just to restore what was lost, but to elevate you to a level you never imagined. But what happens next? How does this divine shift continue to unfold in your life and in theirs? When a chosen one exits someone's life, it's not just the person that's gone, it's the light, the stability, and the guidance they unknowingly leaned on. This departure often leads to the collapse of the illusions they've built for themselves. Without your presence, the cracks in their foundation become glaringly visible, forcing them to confront the reality they worked so hard to avoid. Chosen ones have a unique way of bringing balance to chaotic situations. Whether it's through your wisdom, compassion, or resilience, you often act as the glue that holds things together. However, this role can create a false sense of stability for those around you. They begin to believe that the strength you bring is their own, or that the harmony you maintain will persist regardless of how they treat you. Once you leave, the illusion falls apart. Relationships they thought were solid begin to crumble. Plans they believed were foolproof unravel, and the energy they once relied on is no longer accessible. The collapse is not immediate, but it's inevitable. They start to realize how much of their success, peace, or growth was tied to your presence and not their own doing. This collapse often triggers a series of emotional responses. Initially, there may be denial. They convince themselves that your absence won't make a difference. But as the consequences of losing you become more apparent, denial turns to frustration and regret. The people who once took you for granted now scramble to regain what they lost, often realizing too late that it's irretrievable. The Bible speaks to this in Proverbs 14:12. There is a way that appears to be right, but in the end, it leads to death. For those who lose a chosen one, the path they thought would sustain them is revealed as hollow. Their illusions shatter, leaving them to face the truth of their own shortcomings and the consequences of their actions. For you, witnessing this collapse can be both sobering and freeing. It's a reminder that you are not responsible for holding up others who refuse to grow or change. Your light is a gift, but it's not meant to be wasted on those who don't appreciate it. Yet, as their world collapses, the question lingers. Will this be the moment that inspires them to change, or will they cling to their illusions and spiral further? Regret is a powerful emotion, and for those who lose a chosen one, it often becomes an overwhelming force. At first, they may not fully grasp the magnitude of what they've lost. But as time passes and the void you left grows more evident, regret begins to set in. This regret is not just about missing you, it's about realizing they squandered an opportunity to honor and value someone divinely placed in their life. The regret often comes in waves, triggered by the everyday reminders of your absence. They may hear a phrase you used to say, face a challenge you once helped them navigate, or encounter a situation where your guidance would have made all the difference. These moments serve as painful reminders of the light they once had and the darkness they are now left to navigate alone. For some, this regret becomes a turning point. They begin to reflect on their actions, acknowledging the ways they took you for granted or dismissed your contributions. This reflection can lead to genuine repentance and a desire to change. In these cases, losing you becomes the catalyst for their growth, a painful but necessary step in their journey toward becoming better. However, not everyone responds to regret with humility. For others, regret turns into bitterness or denial. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions, they may try to shift the blame, accusing you of being the problem or justifying their behavior to avoid facing the truth. This reaction only deepens their pain as they continue to avoid the self-reflection needed for healing. Yeshua's teachings often emphasize the importance of self-awareness and repentance. In Luke 15:17-18, the parable of the prodigal son illustrates this beautifully. When he came to his senses, he said, "I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you.'" For those who lose a chosen one, regret can either lead them to a similar moment of realization or keep them trapped in a cycle of denial. For you, their regret serves as a testament to the value of your presence. It's a reminder that your light is not something to be taken lightly, and those who fail to honor it often pay the price. But as their regret deepens, the question arises: will they find the courage to confront their mistakes and seek redemption, or will they remain bound by their pride? When chosen ones leave, the loss they inflict is more than just emotional. It carries a spiritual weight that forces those left behind to confront their flaws and shortcomings. Yet, for the chosen ones themselves, the separation is not a mere escape. It's a moment of restoration guided by Yeshua's hand. His words and promises serve as a source of strength, reaffirming that your departure wasn't just necessary, but divinely orchestrated. Yeshua often emphasized the importance of pruning to bring forth greater growth. In John 15:2, he says, "He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful." This principle applies to the relationships you leave behind. While it may feel like a loss in the moment, it's a necessary step to make space for new connections and opportunities that align with God's plan for your life. For those who lose you, this separation becomes a hard but valuable lesson. Your absence reveals what they failed to cherish, forcing them to grapple with the consequences of their actions. While they may initially resist this lesson, Yeshua's grace often works in their lives to expose their pride, selfishness, or neglect. Whether they acknowledge it or not, losing you is a turning point that challenges them to grow. At the same time, Yeshua uses this season to restore you. The energy and effort you once poured into relationships that drained you are now redirected toward your own healing and growth. You begin to see the ways God is clearing your path, removing distractions and burdens so you can step fully into your purpose. The relationships that come into your life during this time are marked by mutual respect and spiritual alignment, reflecting the restoration Yeshua has brought into your journey. This process of restoration isn't always immediate. It requires faith and patience, trusting that Yeshua is working behind the scenes even when you can't see the full picture. But as you embrace this season, you'll find that the pain of separation transforms into a deeper sense of peace and purpose. Yet, as Yeshua restores you, the question remains: how will those who lost you respond to the lesson he is teaching them? Will they accept his guidance and grow, or will they resist and continue to wander in the aftermath of their loss? Control is often at the root of why some people mistreat or undervalue chosen ones. They believe that by manipulating, dominating, or exploiting you, they can harness your light for their own gain. But when you leave, the control they once wielded begins to unravel. What follows is a slow but inevitable collapse of the power they thought they had over you, and often over others. Chosen ones carry a spiritual authority that cannot be contained or controlled by human means. Your presence is a gift, meant to uplift and transform, not to be exploited. When someone loses you, they lose more than just a relationship. They lose the stabilizing force that kept their manipulative systems intact. Without you, the imbalance they created begins to topple, revealing the fragility of their control. This unraveling often manifests in both external and internal ways. Externally, their relationships, plans, or ambitions may start to falter. The influence they once had over others diminishes as people begin to see through their facade. Internally, they may experience feelings of frustration, helplessness, or even panic as they realize they can no longer manipulate the situation to their advantage. The Bible reminds us of the futility of human control in Proverbs 19:21. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. Those who sought to control you may have believed they were in charge, but losing you exposes the truth, that their power was never as secure as they thought. This realization can be humbling, forcing them to confront their limitations and their dependence on external validation. For you, their loss of control serves as a powerful reminder of your own autonomy and strength. By stepping away, you reclaim the power they tried to take from you. This newfound freedom allows you to move forward with clarity and confidence, unburdened by the weight of their manipulations. It also deepens your connection to God, who is the ultimate source of your strength and purpose. But as their control unravels, a deeper question arises. Will this loss lead them to surrender to God's will, or will they cling to their need for control, refusing to let go of the illusion they once held. When someone loses a chosen one, it is not the end of your story. It is merely the beginning of a divine repositioning. God does not allow you to leave places or relationships without purpose. In every separation, He is preparing you for something greater, something that aligns with the unique calling He has placed on your life. The loss you endured becomes a platform for elevation, and what was meant to break you is transformed into a stepping stone toward your destiny. Chosen ones often remain in environments longer than they should, out of loyalty, love, or hope for change. However, God sees what you cannot. He knows when the situation is no longer serving His plan for you and, in His divine timing, orchestrates your repositioning. This is not a random act, but a deliberate move to place you in the exact position where your gifts, talents, and purpose can flourish. Repositioning often feels uncomfortable at first. You may wonder why certain relationships had to end or why certain doors closed. But over time, God's plan becomes clear. He uses these moments to remove distractions, heal wounds, and redirect your focus toward the path He has set before you. As Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This repositioning also impacts those who lost you. Without your light, they are left to navigate the consequences of their actions, often realizing too late the value of what they had. Their lives may experience stagnation or chaos as they grapple with the void your absence has created. Meanwhile, you begin to thrive, stepping into opportunities that were inaccessible while you remained in their shadow. God's repositioning is not just about moving you to a new place. It's about transforming you into the person you were always meant to be. He uses this time to refine your character, strengthen your faith, and deepen your reliance on Him. As you embrace this season, you'll find that the loss you experienced pales in comparison to the blessings and growth that await. But as you rise into your new purpose, the question remains: how will those who lost you respond to seeing you thrive? Will they recognize the hand of God in your life, or will they remain bound by their own pride and regret? When chosen ones leave, the ripple effect of their absence is felt in profound and far-reaching ways. Your departure is not just an emotional event. It creates waves that impact relationships, environments, and even spiritual dynamics. For those who took you for granted, these ripples often serve as a stark reminder of what they lost and the changes they now face. The first ripple is often internal. Those who lose a chosen one are left to confront the void created by your absence. This void is not just about missing your presence. It's about the loss of the light, wisdom, and stability you brought into their lives. They may feel a sense of imbalance or chaos as the energy you once provided is no longer there to sustain them. The second ripple is relational. Your departure often exposes hidden fractures in their other relationships. Without you as a stabilizing force, conflicts that were once suppressed may come to the surface. The people they relied on for validation or support may begin to pull away, leaving them isolated and forced to face the consequences of their actions. The third ripple is spiritual. Your absence creates a shift in the spiritual atmosphere, disrupting patterns of control, manipulation, or complacency. This disruption often leaves them feeling unsettled, as they are no longer shielded by the grace and protection your presence provided. In some cases, this spiritual void becomes a wake-up call, prompting them to seek God and reevaluate their priorities. In others, it deepens their resentment and bitterness as they struggle to understand why they are experiencing such turmoil. For you, the ripple effect serves as confirmation of the impact you had. It's a reminder that your presence is not ordinary. It carries a divine purpose that leaves an imprint wherever you go. As you observe the ripples unfold, you may feel a mix of emotions, from sadness for what was lost to gratitude for the clarity and growth that has emerged. Yet, the ripples also raise questions. How will those affected by your absence choose to respond? Will they use this moment as an opportunity to grow and change? Or will they remain stuck in the patterns that led to their loss? When chosen ones leave, the final and most profound realization for those left behind is this: they will never find another like you. This revelation is not just about missing your presence. It's an awakening to the unique role you played in their lives. Your energy, light, and divine purpose are irreplaceable, and this truth hits hardest when they try and fail to fill the void you left behind. The initial reaction to losing a chosen one is often denial. They may convince themselves that someone else can provide what you once did, whether it's wisdom, emotional support, or stability. But as time passes, their attempts to replace you only lead to frustration. What they fail to understand is that your presence was never about what you did. It was about who you are. Chosen ones are vessels of divine purpose, and no one else can replicate the specific role God designed you to fulfill. This realization often comes in moments of quiet reflection. Perhaps they encounter someone who reminds them of you, only to find that the connection lacks the depth and authenticity they once took for granted. Or they face a challenge they previously overcame with your help, only to struggle without the guidance you provided. These moments serve as reminders of the unique impact you had, leaving them to wrestle with the weight of what they lost. From a spiritual perspective, this revelation is part of God's plan to bring clarity and humility to their hearts. In 1 Peter 2:9, we are reminded of the uniqueness of the chosen. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His wonderful light. Your role in their life was not random. It was ordained by God. And when they lose you, they are forced to confront the reality that they failed to honor the divine gift they were given. For the chosen ones, this revelation is a powerful reminder of your value. It affirms that you are not interchangeable or replaceable. You are a masterpiece of God's creation, carrying a light that is uniquely yours. This understanding empowers you to walk confidently in your purpose, knowing that your worth is not defined by others' recognition, but by God's design. Yet, the revelation often leaves an open question. Will those who lost you use this moment to change and seek redemption? Or will they continue searching in vain for something that can never be replaced?
Chosen ones, if you enjoy our videos and would like to support our channel, feel free to buy us a coffee. The link will be in the description below. Thanks for watching and have a blessed day.